So Hillary's going to get beaten, but I haven't started with Hillary yet. What happened to her? I'm watching the debate, and she disappeared. Where did she go? Where did she go? I thought she quit. I thought she gave up. Where did she go? Where did Hillary go? They had to start the debate without her. Phase 2.
Welcome to The Hardline. I'm John Bachman in for Ed Berliner. Donald Trump, still the GOP front-runner, sure to upset more folks, especially on the Democratic side, with his latest attacks on Hillary Clinton. Not to mention the tough questions he'll likely get again from Fox host Megyn Kelly at the next GOP debate. Yeah, those two are going to get face-to-face again. Now, despite all the controversies, Donald Trump still finds himself leading one of the last national polls of 2015. In that new poll from Quinnipiac University, Donald Trump is still on top with 28% among Republican-leaning voters, or Republicans altogether. Though Texas Senator Ted Cruz, that's what I'm trying to say, has a virtual tie, statistical tie, if you look at the margin of error, with Trump right now. Trump 28%, Cruz 24%, Rubio at 12%, and then it goes on down from there. Let's go back to that Trump rally in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where he used some choice language to portray Clinton as a loser.
Everything that's been involved in Hillary has been losses. You take a look. Even a race to Obama. She was going to beat Obama. I don't know who'd be worse. I don't know. How does it get worse? But she was going to beat. She was favored to win. And she got schlonged. She lost.
Is that a word? He also said, as you heard, Mrs. Clinton wasn't immediately back on the debate stage after that commercial break. He thought she had quit, later saying that he knew she went to the bathroom and that it was disgusting and didn't want to talk about it much more than that. With that, let's get to our first guest of the day, veteran broadcast and print journalist, now senior contributor at the Federalist, D.C. McAllister. Also joining us, the Buckley Fellow at the National Review Institute, Ian Tuttle. Well, D.C., nobody really wants to talk about what Mrs. Clinton was doing, but what did you think about Trump's portrayal of the events during the Democratic debate? This is kind of what Mrs. Clinton may have been hoping for, mentioning his name so often during the Democratic debate.
I mean, she's definitely wanting a conflict with him to stir the pot. But, I mean, you can't are we surprised by Trump? I mean, he always goes to the lowest common denominator on these kind of things. You know, I'm not surprised that he went there with this. It is kind of disgusting and not very cool of him to do this. But, you know, his supporters love it. He's just not going to turn off his supporters. And he rallies them up, and the people were cheering loudly at the rally. I mean, he had a lot of protesters there, too. But he was just playing to his base once again and just denigrating her. And I will say that Hillary Clinton has responded by using the gender card again, saying this is how, this is how you attack women. And I think people are getting really tired of that. They're just, that's not going to play. It's just not going to play.
I agree with you. I think people are tired of that, the gender politics that she's relied on so heavily throughout the entire campaign. But Ian, she's got the ammo that she wanted from Trump in these comments. And again, you know, folks are going to start talking about this matchup again with Megyn Kelly. And we all remember what happened the last time. Trump kind of made people go, ooh, with those comments as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's remember, the only reason that anyone is really exercised to find out that Megyn Kelly is going to be one of the hosts of the debate, I should add, for the record, I'm not exercised in the least, is because of what happened afterward, because of Trump's comments. You know, he's the one who really sort of started this conflict. You know, having Bret Baier and Chris Wallace and Megyn Kelly, who I think are the three who did the original debate, and now we're going to be doing this second debate right before Iowa, is perfectly reasonable. You know, they were very responsible questioners in that opening debate. I'm sure they'll be here as well. But look, Donald Trump is a shock jock of a sort, running for the Republican nomination, and so he has a way of saying things that get him headlines, and he negotiated himself into a position after that first debate with regard to Megyn Kelly and Fox that now is going to lead to a lot of buzz before the next Fox debate, and that's really what he wants.
Yeah, Fox has got to love this too, because a lot of folks are going to tune back in for round two of the Megyn Kelly, Donald Trump whatever you want to call it, D.C. Trump, though, during the last debate was kind of staid in the most presidential, I guess you can say. Do you expect him to kind of hug and make nice with Megyn Kelly up there on the stage?
I don't know if you'll see hug and make nice, but you'll definitely see a more controlled Trump. And to give him credit, I mean, even in the first debate, and he was waiting for her to attack him, and they're not completely innocent in this. I mean, she went after him about being disparaging to women, and I think that really set him off. And then it all started unwinding from there. So there was some culpability on the part of Fox News. I wouldn't make them out as being completely innocent in this. And he does not really attack unless he's been attacked, or at least perceives being attacked. So if she doesn't attack him on those personal levels, I don't think you're going to see any kind of backlash from him. But if she goes after him in a way that he perceives being unfair, I think you're going to see some fireworks. But I'm guessing that she will stick to policy. She'll stick to the issues, because the viewers didn't like it. Even before Trump brought up the bleeding from the eyes comment, people were pretty angry at Fox News and at Megyn Kelly before that even happened. So they saw some unfairness there before he even said anything. So I think she's going to do her job. She's a great moderator. She's a great journalist. She's going to answer good policy questions. She's going to have to walk the line between not wanting to seem like she's backing down from Trump, but she wants to be strong to ask him tough questions, as long as they do it across the board, which is what I think people want.
All right, Ian, I want to ask you about Chris Christie a little bit. There's a story that's crept back into the news cycle about Christie's past support for an imam in New Jersey, a guy that Christie invited over for a Ramadan dinner. And this is causing some voters to get a little bit skittish, especially the Jewish supporters of Chris Christie. Have you heard about this?
Only in passing. I know that I'm not sure what people are saying now. I can direct some folks to Andy McCarthy at National Review, who's written about Christie's relationships with the Muslim community in New Jersey rather pointedly. I would recommend people take a look at that. The question, of course, is, are these things sort of how political are these relationships? How, are they personal? Are they the sort of formalities that governors are sort of expected to participate in? All of those things should be weighed as the story does creep back in.
Yeah, and that's the question. Is this a detriment to him? And how is it going to be used by some of the other candidates out on the campaign trail? We've heard what's come from Donald Trump before, but DC, do you think this is a liability for Chris Christie? And if so, how big?
Absolutely, it's a liability. If you're going to be talking tough on ISIS and terrorism, and yet you've been having Muslims over to your personal residence, celebrating Ramadan, and you've appointed judicial appointees that have, questionable ties and have been sympathetic to terrorists, and when you've slammed Republicans for not wanting to put a Islamic center near Ground Zero in New York, and when you've honored imams with sympathizers and support to terrorist organizations, that's going to be a problem. And the other candidates are going to have a lot of fodder there to go after him, and they should. I mean, this is one of the problems with being a politician with a record. I mean, it's just one of the problems with being, you have a record to show, and it's going to be used against you. And whether these were legitimate things and just the way a governor acts, it's still going to be used against him.
Well, apparently this guy is fighting deportation right now from Homeland Security, and we don't know if Christie has put his thumb on the scale in any way, shape, or form to help him out in this case. That might be a real issue of concern, but it definitely fits into the broader discussion we're having, specifically in the GOP primary, about how do you, I don't want to say how you handle Muslims, but how do you speak about this? Because you look at the prior Republican administration of George W. Bush, he tried to do some of the same things that our current president is doing, trying to differentiate between the bad actors and the people who have every right to be in this country and practice their religion as they are entitled to under the First Amendment of this Constitution. Ian, do you ever see this issue going away until the nominee is decided?
Well, I don't think it's going to go away after the nominee is decided. I mean, it's a constitutional question. It's a question that we're dealing with as a matter of demographics. As long as there's a refugee crisis, a migrant crisis in Europe, we're going to be dealing with this. So it's a long-term question. Now, of course, we ought to know, as DC sort of hinted at, there's just enormous discontent in Republican primary politics about this question, and that's partly responsible for the rise of Trump. It's certainly responsible for Ted Cruz's ascendancy over the past month or so. This question of it's not simply a question of national security, although it's certainly one of that, but also a question of identity and what the country looks like, what its values are going to be, is one that resonates and one that Republican politicians need to figure out how to deal with in a responsible way.
All right, DC, last word to you, about 20 seconds left.
Well, I think it's also an inherent problem within Islam itself. And it's not just our perception of what's going on, but also just what does it teach, and people trying to figure out what they stand for. And does Sharia law comport with our Constitution, and can it coexist here?
Yeah, you do see some reformers out there trying to speak to that, and hopefully that continues. But thanks for being on the show very much, DC McAllister and Ian Tuttle. We're coming back with more of Ed's interview with Ted Cruz.